All right, we're going to the big event, which is the opening ceremony for the conference. We will crave your indulgence to please permit us to do some adjustments to the seating arrangements. Meanwhile, the dignitaries that are in front, we can have a tea break for you. All the other people have had their tea breaks. Please relax. Then those who are yet to have their tea can have their tea while we're readjusting the seating pattern. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Okay, very quickly, my name is Cyrus Snow. I'm a Nigerian, but I'm made in China. The reason why I love China is because of our relationship with Nigeria and China. The only two countries on earth that share the same independence date are China and Nigeria. China independence is on the 1st of October 1949, and Nigeria's independence is 1st October 1960. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why sometimes you feel like maybe Nigeria take more money from China, because of our relationship. Then very quickly here, we're talking about family planning. I love the fact that it's been a subject matter in a place like this. Then you begin to also wonder if family planning is the way it is actually meant on the area of knowing the sex of the woman, maybe genotype, SS and AS, AA. Please, the people in charge of family planning, the enactment of the law and everything about it, should also do a planning on the area of the height of the man and the height of the woman, the color of the man and the color of the woman. Where the man is too tall, he might get an average woman. It should be in the planning too. But when the woman is too short, the husband is too short, you see also the result in their child too. When the woman is too fair and the husband is too fair, that is where they have all this morphological variation and physiological variation of maybe albinism and all that. When the man is eating too much of hot food, the woman eat too hot food, the man take too much of hot drink, it will affect the baby in the planning. When the man is a stammerer, the wife is a stammerer, that one is so evident. That happened in one of my friends those days in school. Our teacher came to take our names in our class. She said, "Good afternoon, class. I will be your teacher for this term. I want to know your names. Tell me your names so that I will put it down. Tomorrow I will call you by your name." She was not calling us and asking us, "You, what's your name?" The boy said, "My name is Kinsley Carlo." Auntie wrote, "Kinsley Carlo." "You, what's your name?" The boy said, "My name is Franklin Tassier." Auntie wrote, "Franklin Tassier." "You." This boy's name is Peter, but he has speech impediment, stammerer. He said, "My name is Peter." Auntie wrote, Peter. So the next day roll call, she came with cane, anger. Those things put scare in children. He said, "Good afternoon, class. Now answer your name in accordance. Don't waste my time." Without Ken, all of us compete ourselves. She not started. Kinsley Carlo, President Auntie. Franklin Tassier, President Auntie. That boy turn. Peter. The boy no talk. So she now they look the boy now. They call the name get back. Peter. The boy didn't talk. She angrily walked to the boy. "Are you not Peter?" The boy angrily respond, "Auntie, that is not a my name. Tell us your name and let's register you." The boy said, "My name is Which one do you write? Is it or Who? He took this stamina issue. Finish school, he was not going out looking for job. He saw they wrote vacancy. He applied. They called him for interview. The day of interview, he suited up and he went. On the queue, the man that interviewed them is a lieutenant colonel and he's a chronic stammerer times 10. So the only thing there is that when the night came, they see that everything didn't go on well. moving on that one, you see that some things have happened in the area of international communities. Here you see how Nigerians have been, taken on our global map. If you check what I said, I love Chinese. And I was trying to ask question, who was our Minister of Education 25 years ago? Why were we mandated to learn French? Je m'appelle Odale, voilà, this a central language. They should have taught us Chinese then. Because everybody here now, most of us, there's everything in our home made in China. Even to learn the language now is becoming so important. That is why they say there's now Chinese police station in Nigeria. Do you know why? Because if the Chinese people commit any crime, they use Nigeria as a punishment. So some of the Nigerian branch of their the factory, somewhere in Kuje, that's where they put them. And the only thing about traveling is that when you travel to other countries, the way they treat you, because maybe you're in Nigeria. My trip to France, just France here. How can you go through a lot of issues to get a visa, buy ticket, then fly? You don't enter France, Paris, Gongo. To enter inside, they take go back because maybe racism or you're Nigerian. I got to France. The man say, all the whites this way, once you're white this way. That is where I saw the first class of racism. All the white, as long as you're a white person, go this way, they pass them. Then the blacks this way, they were not asking us, where you from? The guy say, I'm Ghana, come in. You, where you from? The one say, Namibia, come in. Where you from? The one say, Nigeria. Once they hear Nigeria, come this way. Whenever they hear, come this way at the airport, this way. You, where you from? The one say, Nigeria, this way. They took them inside for more interrogation. From there, maybe they send you back. You, where you from? Me. That time already, I don't already hide my passport, keep it somewhere. They say, where you from? I say, I'm from Zambia. They say, Zambia? I say, yes. Zambia? I say, yes. Say, recite the Zambia anthem. The person that's asking me, no, me, no. Can you recite Zambia anthem? I said, now that was where at airport, don't always act that you're afraid. I protested. Why will you ask me that? In my country, would they ask you to recite your anthem before they ask you in at immigration? Why will you ask me to recite my anthem of my country? They say, sir, recite your anthem or you go back to your country. At that time, I said, God, sing for me. I had my chest. I remember those Igbo songs those days that had to do with Zam. I started. Zam, Zam, Jehovah, Zam. Ekwekwala kiheremem biko Zam kahawe marana si Jehovah Yahweh Buchinekem. And then I can put Zam dia. They say you're lucky, you can go. Make a clap, man. I got back to work. Talking about family. The only woman I would expect till I die is the one that breastfed me for free. Without killing fish, no buying shawarma, no recharge card, no negotiation. I sucked for 2 years, 4 months and 2 weeks. My mother, I am proud of my mother. If you love your mother here, clap for your mother, clap for your mother, clap for your mother. Unconditional. My mother is not Virgin Mary. My father from a strong pipeline, so a seed that produced me. Clap for your father, to clap for him, clap for him, clap for fathers. I'm telling you. Because now you begin to see that things have changed. Things have changed. Please, women that are here, respect your husbands, love them. Men are going through a lot. But they won't tell you. Because if a man talk, they say you're a weak man. If you cry, you're a weak man. You know? They say men can lie. Men lie too much. But if you check how men lie and how women lie, you now do your check and statistics. Here now in Abuja, please, women, and that's your sister, so
They should avoid men in Gwarimpa and Wuse too. Those men, they cannot break your heart. They will break your soul, your soul. I'm telling you. Then you see those men that always wear white and white kaftan. Run, oh, and they will use his voice. When they see you, they will say, "How are you?" Run, oh. I'm telling you. It is only in my time and Wuse and whatever you will see a man that have 5 car keys, no car. I'm telling you. Now let me ask this question. Let's interact. Man and woman, who they lie pass? You say? Man and woman, who they lie pass? Who they lie pass? Okay, man and woman, who stingy pass? Who stingy pass? Okay, man and woman, who mumu pass? Who mumu pass? Okay, then let me tell you, men they like corporate lie. Women they like commercial lie. A man can call a fellow man, "Hello Jude, where are you?" Even though say they call her, they see her. "Where are you, Jude?" They call her, "I just landed Lagos, I'm in Lagos." But I'm seeing Abuja. Yeah, see the lie. Sorry. Lagos Street. Very corporate. But everything that represents most of our women now, currently, is a lie. Men, when I go to echo lie, men they know. Men, are we together? Their hair. Men, be serious now. Their hair. The color of their face, lip color, eyelid, eyelash, contactless, nails, toes, height, bum, body, name, age, work, to fiakum, lineages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyril Snow.
A very good afternoon. I know that it's been a long wait, but finally we have the VIP that we needed for endorsement to ensure that the efforts of the last 3 days and of course the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference 2022 has the endorsement of the Federal Ministry of Health. And so can we please put our hands together as we warmly welcome the Honorable Minister of State who is here with us, and happily to have you. A very good afternoon, Honorable Minister. We'll start the program. Can we please all rise for the national anthem? Please be seated. We thank you all for your patience, particularly our participants that have been here all day. Would now take up, and please may I just say that we would establish the protocol, and as soon as that is done, because of the time that we have to catch up with, please, when you come to speak, just go straight to your address and stand or recognize or whatever way you want to put it, but please, the protocol will be established once and for all, and so we can all take off. The Honorable Minister of State for Health, Honorable Joseph Ekuma Kama. I had to be practicing that name so I don't get it wrong this time. You're welcome, sir. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tarlin, who is not here with us, but ably represented by the SA to the Minister, Princess Jumai Indonije. You're welcome, and thank you for your time and patience. The Executive Chairman of the National Population Commission, who has also been here with us, and rightly too, as he plans for Census 2023, he needs every avenue and every platform to let us know that it's going to happen. Honorable Nasser Issa Kwara, you're also welcome, sir. I'd also quickly like to recognize all the commissioners here present with the honorable, with the chair, and also other members of the National Population Commission here with us. I'd also like to recognize all heads of parastatals, MDAs that are here with us. You are also welcome. Also from the armed forces, I'd quickly like to recognize the representative of the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Oladayo Amo, CFR, who is ably represented here by Group Captain B.I. Jayoba, Director of Public Health and Humanitarian Services. You're welcome, sir. Family planning, it's a collective responsibility. And so our partners here over the years that have been here with us, I'd quickly like to run through those that I have their names here, and of course we recognize every partner that is here. Dr. Okai Haruna Aku from PPFN, sir, you're welcome. From the UNFPA, we hope that at some point the country representative Ulamola will join us virtually. But here seated with us is the Deputy Country Rep, Dr. Erica Goldson. You're also very welcome. From the Bill and Melinda Gates, we have Dr. Jeremiah Zagrana, who is here with us. You're welcome, sir. USAID, is being represented today by Paul McDermott. You're also welcome. From the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, we have Dr. Nedet Singh Hassa. You're welcome, sir. Also from Global Affairs Canada, today has been represented by Renat Pitstone, First Secretary Development from the Global Canada Affairs. You're also very welcome. We also have FP 2023 Secretariat, Dr. Fenu Swa, who is also here. But most importantly, where we actually need action is at the home front. And chairing this occasion, and rightfully too, and I please like us to give special recognition to the Andoma of Doma, His Royal Highness Al-Haji Ahmadu Aliyu Oga Onawa, who has continuously partnered with what we are doing here today. I think that applause is not good enough, it's not big enough, it's not loud enough. Thank you very much. I'd also like to recognize that the national chairman of the Board of Trustees of AAFP is here, Alhaji Sani Umar Serking Yaki Gaji from Sokoto State. My chair, you're also welcome. The list is endless, but like I said, we have to catch up on time. May I please just say that I recognize every partner I recognize every participant, particularly those of you who have come from all parts of the country to be here. I recognize my soldier in the trenches. Are we still in the trenches? Deacon Mike, are we still in the trenches? Yeah, he says until, of course, the uptake and the unmet needs are met, we really cannot say we're there. I also would like to give special recognition to members of the Nigerian media who are going to give visibility to all that has been happening in the last 3 days. And I think the Nigerian media deserves a very, very loud round of applause. And so we move on quickly. It is at this point, Honorable Minister, sir, all the directors here present, representatives here present, that I'd like to say that charity begins at home for us in Nigeria. And so taking this home and starting from there, because that's where we have all the, all the children, where they are all made. And so the home is an important place. And who is the custodian of the home? The traditional institution. And so today, on your behalf, I'd like to welcome, for the chairman's remarks, His Royal Highness Alhaji Ahmadu Ali Oga Onao, the Andoma of Doma, who I'm sure with his height and every other thing that goes with it, will speak to us, and joyfully too. Your Royal Highness.
The Honorable Minister of Health, I don't want to take chances. She was struggling with our father's name. I don't want to be caught up in trying to ask your pardon. But my dear brother, the Honorable Minister of Health, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, my dear brother, by tradition, I'm lucky, he's older than me, but I'm his father, the chairman of the National Population Commission. The chairman of the board of the Association for Advancement of Family Planning. Please just pardon me, let me rescue myself by observing the established protocol. Honorable Minister, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the family is the fulcrum of the existence of any society. As a matter of fact, without a family, there wouldn't be existence. That's why from the onset, God created Adam and Eve as an origin that there must be the regeneration of his servants, from the humans to the animal world. And when God ordained that, God insisted there must be quality servants from his creation, whether as human beings or even among the animals. And that's why all books of religions have asked that every parent should know that God will hold you to account as a shepherd for what you have brought into the world from what he has ordained. In other words, if you like, have as many children as you want. Just remember, one day we'll return to God and God will hold you to account. If you like, have the smallest number of family members you want. What God wants is what is the input from your parenthood that has made those people or those kids independent, dependable, and quality members of the human society. The whole project behind the Advancement of Family Planning Association is how do we keep reminding ourselves that we have a responsibility that one day we'll stand before God and God will ask me, Ahmadu, you have 4 wives, you have a number of kids, how have you impacted on each of them to be positive contributors to the nation building that Nigeria wants to see of its citizens? Relatedly, every one of us, from our number of kids to our wives, and to the offsprings that we're responsible for, whether as relatives or children of relatives. God will ask us, how do you take care of each of us? So the concept of family planning is not about forcing anybody to take contraceptive or to refuse the number of children. It's to remind you, since God will ask you tomorrow, and there's no excuses that day, how many kids from what God has given you have you made good Nigerians and good part of the humanity? That is the essence, I'm sure, of this association and the global effort in saying, let's talk about family planning. We have over time emphasized contraceptives, number of children too much, poverty is too much, and that's why the world is not appreciating the essence. Let's use religion and the concept of God to tell people, since God will ask you on the last day, if you like, don't take contraceptive. If you like, take it. But God will ask you, for the two kids I've created through you, how have they impacted positively on nation building and the future of humanity for the good of all? That's emphasis, if we draw. And remind ourselves as regularly as we should. As a matter of fact, nobody needs to talk to anybody about contraceptive. Everybody will manage his home based upon the number that he knows tomorrow he will survive when he meets God. Honorable Minister, the world is not deprived at all. There is the abundance of human and natural resources that can sustain the world. It's appropriation and nation of management that has made it some people have in excess and others do not have at all. Then the human person became a little excited and afraid. So much I don't have. So much our nation does not have. So much of our people do not have. And if we don't check the number of creation that are coming out of us, the world will not have a space enough for all of us. The resources in the world will not be there to sustain all of us. There might be rising criminality because of the few that have and the excess that do not have at all. The Honorable Minister, people have savings in tons of billions of naira or dollars, stuck in investments and banks across the world. And the Honorable Minister, in their countries, people are still sleeping on the streets without home. People are still sleeping without food. And the country does not lack. But some people are obviously at a disadvantage that they don't have enough to even keep their bodies and souls together. Is it lack of funds? Is it lack of money? Certainly not. It's just a matter of reprioritizing. Honorable Minister, Nigeria is among the most endowed nations of the world. Human and material resources in Nigeria is among the best you find in any part of the world. Nigeria has the vastness of human capital that the whole of the West and Europe is turning to Nigeria now, saying, as many Nigerians as want to come, please do come. You have an open ticket. Because of the quality of manpower Nigeria has been able to produce. The Honorable Minister, from the east and the west of Nigeria, you have mineral deposits stuck under our soil. All we need to do as a people is, how do we add value to this natural gift from God and translate it into national pride and asset? That instead of running to the West will run to Nigeria. Because we have all it takes that the nations of the world will turn to. The Honorable Minister, people come to export sand from Nigeria. To us, it's ordinary sand. If it is ordinary sand, they have a lot of it in their country. From every bucket of sand that leaves Nigeria, there are stock of mineral wealth in it, just that Nigerians do not know. And I think if the vastness of our natural resources and the human capacity and human capital wealth that Nigeria has is unasked, Nigeria will not go to anybody's country because we have it, and already, because we do not know, people are exploiting it to the maximum to our disadvantage, but to the growth and the development of their own countries. All we need and across the world is the human person should be a priority, not wealth acquisition. the human survival should be a matter of interest, not wealth amassment. Everybody should remember, no matter how much you package, legally and illegally, one day we will leave this world. And it shall be there. And we shall go to account to God. And how much we have been able to translate opportunities we have or privileges of office or resources to improve the lives of the ordinary person. If we do keep our personal interests aside and emphasize the common well-being of my brother and neighbor, there will be so much wealth available that nobody will sleep hungry and nobody will sleep on the streets, whether in Nigeria or in the part of the world. If you go to the Arab world, where they have so much money in trillions of dollars in banks across the world, some people still sleep hungry. Some people still do not have homes. If you go to our big brother, the United States of America, whether black or white, some people still sleep on the streets and they sleep hungry. And relatedly, so will you find in nations of the world that have so much of strength in military armament, so much strength in their economies, so much abundance in whatever it takes to rate anybody as developed. You still find people hungry and sleeping on the streets. It's not because there are people in excess. It's because the human nature of wanting people to be different and better, being rated among the richest, being rated among those that decide what happened, is insisting so much that I have should be a matter of opportunity and the strength of my wealth, that everybody should look up to me, not how much good I have extended to making humanity better. And that's why some people still, in the abundance of wealth, sleep on the streets and do not and cannot feed, in spite of all these privileges. When the emphasis on family planning is rendered, quickly do we think of Africa? Quickly it's assumed is an African man that is a depiction of lack and inability to advance beyond the rudiments of basic survival, and his number must be checked and reduced. Check world records of mineral opportunities that God has made in abundance. Africa has all the mineral wealth that the world turns to. Yet we are the poorest of all the nations in the world. All the mineral wealth will be extracted and taken out, and by the time it is gone there, we are enslaved to it because of our inability to transform it into wealth that will have saved us from the circumstance and the status that we are assumed to be the poorest. So if we have so much from the favors of God, and some people have so much in the favors of God in the mental capacity to translate sand into wealth, if we meet in partnership, our sand, our mineral wealth, and their know-how, and agree on equal terms, that you can extract all the mineral wealth, but on partnership that will share on a ratio of percentage of common ownership, I'm sure nobody will want to be bothered that the population in Africa, whether it is much or little, whether it's in poverty or not, because there will have been enough resources from us that is helping them and helping to save us, and I'm sure we'll disengage from the qualification of being impoverished and poor nations of the world. Honorable Minister, I'm just trying to package an opportunity that going forward, our conversations in this association should be to encourage our thoughts, to begin to explore the possibilities that the abundance of natural resources in our countries and our continent can salvage our people and our countries and our continent. That the knowledge that somebody has in abundance will transform our mineral wealth into an asset and its dominance over us can become the basis for mutual respect and ownership between us and those that have that privilege. Because their knowledge cannot be wealth to them. Our mineral resources have not become well to us. But if we agree that we can do a partnership, knowledge and wealth of mineral resources, how do we share the percentage? I'm sure the West will have less to worry that our population is growing too much and is a threat. And we will have less worry that we are so poor that everybody is giving us aid in sympathy because we have been unable to transform the resources we have, that they pack and transform and become healthier and richer than all of us. So I'm hoping that going forward, by the grace of God, all our partners from across the world that have been financing this beautiful opportunity for us to sit down and talk and think and reflect, that have been giving us various forms of support and aids in cash, will come and join us in partnership to explore the opportunity that Africa can stand on its feet and our population wouldn't have been an issue. If population was an issue, if population was a threat, if population is an issue that the world will want, the less of it, the better. Europe wouldn't have been asking for Nigerians to come to their land, whether as doctors or in various fields of human endeavor. But it is an asset, especially quality ones. And that's why the doors of the whole of Europe and America are saying, come. As good as you are, we want your services. And because of the absence of population and their dwindling population, that's why they need the input that will come from us. As unqualified and unsophisticated as our education is, it is a rescue. It is there. It is needed. I hope that by the grace of God, like the Honorable Minister of Mines did, somebody wanted to buy the mining rights of the lithium in Nigeria. He told him, don't worry, we'll give you the mining rights as long as you invest and produce all your products for Nigeria. But we won't give you the mining rights that you extract all the mineral wealth and take it to your country, transform it into batteries and other byproducts and return it to Nigeria and enslave us only as mining sites. For the good that our mineral wealth is to the world. So also can we be so good if we manage in a very profitable dialogue a relationship between us and our dear brothers that have the capacity, mental capacity to transform minerals into wealth creation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, from the theme and the topics in this 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference, is a very optimistic, ambitious intention to rescue Nigeria and its future from the threat of our growing population that we have failed to harness with good human capital development, providing good necessary education and skills that will have been a rescue for this country. The intention of this program and this conference this year is to give us a wake-up call. The excess of wars and lack of what to do has led us to several things: banditry, insurgency, terrorism, ritual killings, armed robbery, and all the vices associated with an underdeveloped human person. The conference wants to ask us, what difference can we make from this conference that all these vices will come to an end? This conference is interested. That's why it brought in even the clergies to reflect. How can religion be used positively in nation building, especially in the growth of the number of human beings in our country, in view of the challenges that the country is facing, like all nations of the world, economically? So, if God will call you to account for the number of kids that God has given you, that you voluntarily indulged to acquire, just know a day of reckoning is going to come. So what manner of kids that come through you will you want to make as very qualitative members of the Nigerian society that can add value to the country and the world? So religion should go beyond my religion and the sentiments of whatever purpose it is used to an opportunity that the knowledge of religion that God will hold you accountable for, and especially for the number of kids that come to this world through you, is deployed to give Nigeria a better future. Relatedly, this conference is interested in knowing. From this conference can our government and the Nigerian society be more interested in exploiting, exploring, and adding value to its mineral wealth to make Nigeria a mineral and economic hub that the whole will come to buy value-added goods, mineral resources, not just raw materials. At the end of it, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, whether on family planning or in any aspect of human endeavor, Nigeria looks up to us and what will come from us from this conference to make Nigeria the better nation and the better hub for future Nigerians and generations unborn. Use this opportunity and may God provide us the leverage that the outcome of this conference shall lay a new foundation and future for the Nigerian society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Food for thought. You can see that His Royal Highness did not come with a script. He spoke from his heart. That is very apt, considering that the journey to 2030 and beyond, and for us Nigerians, the opportunities ahead, looking inwards and not japping, will help to build a sustainable society. We're moving on now. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Thank you for speaking from the heart. And thank you for the variables that you brought into your very wonderful speech. May Allah indeed reward you, and may we be changed with what you have said today. And I do hope that my colleagues that are here would be able to amplify the voice of His Royal Highness in your report today of this event. Now that the stage has been set and we have been charged with opportunities that abound in this country, and of course how we can harness it for the benefits of Nigerians, including us, who are opportune to be here gathered today, may I, on behalf of all of us, call on the Chairman, Local Organizing Committee, and also Chair of the Technical Committee of the AAFP, our own very energetic, dynamic Dr. Ejike Oji, to please welcome us formally. Just a moment before you do that, Dr. Oji. Today is all about partnership, and I think that His Royal Highness actually echoed that. I have a partner in the house myself. I'd like also to recognize Chinyere Ugo Chinwoba, who is also a media practitioner, and she's going to be helping me or assisting me or supporting me here today. Chinyere, please come around and take a bow before the chairman speaks. Thank you very much. She's been doing so well in the last 72 hours. Thank you. Take a bow.
Thank you so much, our own Auntie Moji. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Standing on existing protocol, once again, you're all welcome to the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference. Thank you.
The chairman of this occasion, I don't know whether I can stand and speak after you have given such an eloquent treatise about population. May we still give him a wonderful round of applause. May I welcome my brother, an erudite lawyer that is doing wonderful work in the medical or health space, the Minister of State of Health, Mr. Joseph Ekumankama. I will please indulge the audience that I have also welcome the representative of the Minister of FCT, Dr. Matthew Ashikeni, who is the Director of Projects at the Health Secretariat. The Minister would have been here because you know I work for him too, but he had to travel with the President and then pleaded that we should please forgive him that he's not here, but he's here to represent him today. I want to use this opportunity to also say that we should please applaud our National Population Chairman, Population Commission Chairman. For years in the civil society space, we've been grappling with how can we engage the National Population Commission. This man has made our work easy, and that's why we're going to have a head count next year. Thank you, Chairman. Let me please stand on other existing protocols, but I must not go further without thanking our development partners who have made it so well for us to be here. They provide resources in terms of finance, but I think for me that is a development expert. The one that matters most is the technical expertise they bring into the country for us to do our work. Thank you so much for being here. My colleagues in the technical working groups, in all the subcommittees of the local organizing committee, may you please stand up and take a bow. Everybody that is in the LOC, in all the sub, please stand up. Let everybody see the wonderful people that made this happen. Muriam, everybody, please, everybody in the technical working group. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the people that made this happen. Let me now welcome you formally. I join the Honorable Minister of Health to warmly welcome all our esteemed guests to this opening ceremony of the 7th Nigerian Family Planning Conference. And thank you for being part of this life-changing event, the 7th Family Planning Conference in Nigeria, with a virtual presence also. We have a lot of people connected. The gentleman that is going to deliver the keynote address is speaking from outside this country. Family planning is one of the most cost-effective ways of preventing maternal, infant, and child mortality. It has been estimated that meeting women's needs for modern contraceptives will prevent about 1/4 to 1/3 of all maternal deaths. In addition, family planning offers a host of other benefits, as it has been shown to slow the spread of HIV, promote gender equality, reduce poverty, accelerate socioeconomic development, and protect the environment. I think the chairman of this occasion has already underlined that so eloquently well. Well, thank you, sir. 28 years ago, after the International Conference on Population and Development in Cairo, women are still fighting for their rights. Among women of reproductive age in developing countries, 867 million, 57%, are in need of contraception because they are sexually active but do not want to have a child in the next 2 years. Of these, about 222 million, 26%, do not have access to modern methods of contraception, resulting in significant unmet need. In Nigeria, it's put at 19%. In recent years, the global community and many national governments renewed their commitments to family planning. The most ambitious demonstration of the commitment was made at the London Summit on Family Planning in 2012. This gave birth to FP 2020, an initiative to halve the world's unmet needs for contraception and reach additional 120 million women and girls with right-based, qualitative, and accessible family planning services by the year 2020. It is now rebased to 2030. Nigeria was represented at the summit by a team of experts led by the Federal Minister of Health, who identified the following key steps to ensure the increased uptake of FP services: support advocacy, strengthen accountability, improve supply chains, increase contraceptive supply, promote best practices, and support new innovations. The team of experts included members and partners of the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, Professor Oladapo Oladipo, who was our first chairman of the management committee of AFP, was here with us till yesterday, but he had to go for a very important engagement, and did personally say, I should please greet you people for being here today. it was determined that it should ensure that every Nigerian has access to family planning information and services as a right and of quality. Following the London summit, Nigeria set a modern contraceptive prevalence rate, MCPR, of 36%, as a target to be achieved by 2018. This target was subsequently reviewed downwards to 27%, and it was to be attained by 2020. Despite these efforts, the modern contraceptive prevalence rate has remained low, staying at 12%, while the unmet need is at 19%. The low utilization of family planning service has contributed to Nigeria's poor maternal and child health outcomes. Existing maternal mortality ratio of 512 per 100,000 live births. High total fertility rate of an average of 6 children per woman, which contributes to a rapid population growth rate of 3.2%. That impacts negatively on the country's development and health situations. It was based on the realization that delaying to act would be disastrous, not only to the present generation, but also generations to come, that the Nigerian Family Planning Conference was instituted by the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, formerly the Family Planning Action Group, comprising all stakeholders addressing maternal and child health situations in Nigeria in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health. The Nigerian Family Planning Conference is a biennial event that brings together experts, partners, policymakers, and other stakeholders to discuss and share experiences on the progress made and to chart the way forward towards improving the existing situation of FP in Nigeria. The conference also provides a platform for fostering policy debate, exchange of ideas, and sharing experiences on FP and other reproductive health issues. Let me pause here and make you to understand some of the achievements of the AFP. In addition to successfully hosting previous conferences and working in close collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health and other relevant stakeholders, AFP has been able to achieve the following: successfully advocating to government to put money down as counterpart support for FP commodities purchase, including the total support to $4 million and to make services free in public sites in the country. Receiving grants from credible donors, that I can tell you, for us to be able to do this conference, the money for it was brought from our donors and IPs. Please, let's give them a round of applause. Establishing accountability scorecards and AFP funding. As we speak, the AFP is developing a scorecard to monitor the AFP 2030 commitment made by Nigerian government. Training civil society organizations on tracking and accountability at the sub-national level. Developing deep relationship and partnering with the media to advance the message on family planning. Creating a medium of conversation with the religious leaders to discuss common grounds for FP service provision in the country, amongst other activities. 2 days ago, we had our interfaith forum, and I can tell you, it was awesome. All the clerics, both from the Christian and the Muslim community, have said going forward they are going to evangelize family planning based on what our chairman today has mentioned. Because in the Bible and the Quran, you are an infidel, or worse than an infidel, if you cannot take care of your family. Working with civil societies and federal government, Federal Ministry of Health, to be part of the recommitment of Nigerian government to set aside at least 1% of the national health budget at the federal and sub-national levels for FP, commodity purchase, and services. This year's conference is the 7th in the series and has presented unique opportunities due to the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of lessons learned, as it caused tremendous upheaval to health systems around the world, disrupting access to family planning information and services, as well as sexual and reproductive health more broadly. I always like to pause here to celebrate Mario Stopes International. I don't know whether they are in this room. Where is their country director? He should please stand for recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, during the COVID-19, Mario Stopes International actually increased family planning services in their sites nationally. It was awesome, using technology, and does God help you and protect you. Despite this disruption, the need for family planning keeps increasing as health systems shift to prevent and treat people with COVID. It is essential that they also protect access to family planning services. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, while we encourage you to make friends, network freely at this conference, please do take time to navigate our conference website, www.nfpc2022.org, and see for yourselves the informative and beautiful things on display from our partners and exhibitors. Once more, we are honored to have you join us at this conference, and we are all looking forward to a wonderful and fruitful interaction. Thank you so much. Let me now use this opportunity and invite my co-chair, I call her my Amazon, to give us the conference structure. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if I'm short or tall, but I think I'm in between, so I hope you can hear me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Amina Aminu Dorei, and I'm the country director for Pathfinder International in Nigeria, but I stand before you here as the co-chair of the local organizing committee of this conference. I'm honored by your presence. I'm going to try to follow a little bit of protocol, but please forgive me in advance if I miss any protocol. First of all, I'd like to recognize our Honorable Minister of State for Health, Honorable Joseph Eko Mankama, representative of the Minister of FCT, Dr. Matthew Ashikeni, representative of our Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Princess Jummai Idonije, Executive Chairman of the National Population Commission, Honorable Nasir Kwara, Chairman of the occasion, and I'm really inspired by you, Honorable Chairman, His Royal Highness Alhaji Aliyu Oga Onawa. Thank you for your very intelligent and important submission. The Chairman of the Board of Trustees of AAFP, Alhaji Sani Umar Jabi, heads of donor agencies and development partners, both international and local, Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee, Dr. Ejike Oji, my boss, colleagues, fellow family planning advocates, policymakers, civil society organizations, service providers, representatives from all the states that we have here, heads of ladies and gentlemen, and also members of the press, good afternoon. I'm honored to stand before you to just talk about a bit about the objectives of this conference, which is the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference, with the theme Journey to 2030. I'm taking us back. With the theme Journey to 2030, the opportunities ahead. We have about 8 sub-themes, and you will agree with me that these sub-themes are very apt considering the time that we are in and the context in Nigeria. Sustainable financing for family planning is very critical. Our second theme is FP 2030 commitments, looking at what we have in our commitments in Nigeria. Impactful strategies to strengthen the FP 2030 agenda, family planning localization agenda, the expectations and progress made, expanding access and quality to family planning through networking and technology in Nigeria, the current situation. Expanding partnership and accountability for sustainable development, family planning programming for youth and adolescents, as well as interfaith approaches. We talk about religion and social norms. The goal of this conference, the 7th conference, is to increase access to equitable, quality, and innovative family planning information and services in Nigeria. We have an objective, which is to conduct stakeholders' dialogue and expert discourse on increasing investments, accountability, access to quality family planning services. Other objectives include identifying new avenues for increased resources for family planning in Nigeria, and to share knowledge on the emerging improvements and innovations that support increased access to family planning services. We also would like to discuss avenues for sustainable and innovative healthcare provisions and access to family planning, and expand collaboration on family planning within the Universal Health Coverage Agenda. The structure of this conference is into pre-conferences and the main conference. On Monday, the 12th of December 2022, we had the youth pre-conference, which was very well attended, and kudos to the youth committee. Really, they did very, very well. We also had the interfaith and women pre-conferences on Tuesday, the 13th of December 2022, and they are going to share with us some of the agreements that have been made later on in this day. This is the main conference, and I'm happy to note that this conference is really, both virtual and physical, as Dr. Oji had mentioned. And we're also having the post-conference activities, which would include media activities, publishing of the communique, and following up with contact persons based on what we have discussed here. This conference that is holding at the end of 2022 also offers an opportunity for all stakeholders to share experiences on the progress made in Nigeria towards attainment of the MCPR, which is the modern contraceptive prevalence rate of 27%. The conference would be looking at the future, especially now that we have renewed our commitments to the world. And as I said, the chairman has alluded to the discussion about the future and the opportunities ahead. The government of Nigeria has made very landmark pronouncements and taken laudable steps to tackle our growing population, namely the renewed commitment of the FP 2030 Global Initiative, setting a financial target of 1% of the health budget for family planning, the launch of the strategic plan for the implementation of the revised population policy, and also setting up the population advisory group. The most important of all in these is also the national headcount that was alluded to. Thank you to the National Population Commission for this leadership. So the conference should therefore be a place to start the focus on the last mile concept to get all these done. The March to 2030 FP agenda would also be in focus to help government galvanize all stakeholders to meet all these targets. We are here today, all partners, all development partners, government, and all our family planning advocates are seated in one room. This is where the discussions should happen. Thank you very much, and look forward to more deliberations.
Please, another round of applause for her. Thank you so much, Dr. Amina Aminu Durey, the co-chair, Local Organizing Committee, and Country Director, Pathfinder International. The Minister, sir, Chairman, standing on existing protocol, it's time for us to hear from our implementing partners to take the goodwill messages. And joining us virtually is the rep for the UNFPA, Ms. Elizabeth Ola Mueller, who wants to take her goodwill message first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you put my camera on also? Thank you. I can't enable it from here. Good afternoon, everybody. I am delighted to be able to join you and have been able to listen into this opening. Honorable ministers here present or represented, please allow me to stand on the existing protocol in the interest of time, as it has been requested. I am delighted to be here as UNFPA. I would like to think that the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency is more than an implementing partner, but indeed also a policy advisor and technical advisor to the government of Nigeria and to our implementing partners as we have delivered our 8th country program. As you all know, our mandate is to ensure a world where every pregnancy is wanted, where every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. Family planning, access to contraception, is at the very core of this mandate. And we are therefore proud partners of the federal and state governments to deliver on these three very transformative results: to end unmet need for family planning, to end preventable maternal deaths, and to end gender-based violence and harmful practices. The theme and the objectives, as just captured now by our colleague from Pathfinder, Dr. Amina, captures very well the essence of the decade of action that we are in the middle of. And it does also provide us a unique opportunity to rethink our platform and discuss the opportunities that we can create to leverage on key national and global initiatives, such as the recent finalized and fully approved National Development Plan for Nigeria, or the National Population Policy, and of course, Nigeria's Family Planning 2030 commitments. As it has been said by the co-chairs, family planning is cost-effective, and it is critical for the attainment of every single of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It is also a key intervention for harnessing the demographic dividend. It should also be noted, and I think that was also mentioned, that studies and evidence now show that for every $1 we invest in family planning and maternal health, the return on investment to families and society in developing countries is about $8.40. That means the return on investment is 8.5. That is one of the largest returns on any investments any government can make. Therefore, it should not be a difficult decision. However, we do need to have better approaches to ensure that we always put rights and choices first. In a world of 8 billion, when human rights and the rights of women to choose if they want to have children, when they want to have children, and how many children they want, when that right is fully respected, 8 billion is a world of infinite possibilities to create a world where every human being counts. To do that, we need to think out of the box. We need to be honest about our achievements. We need to innovate more, and we need to collaborate better to move the needle on indicators, such as the contraceptive prevalence rate, which in Nigeria, when we are honest, have not increased at all over the last decade. This is reason for concern because we do celebrate our progress. But when we look at the evidence, we are moving around numbers. We are not increasing our impact. The same with unmet need for contraception. And right now as I speak, about 4 million women in Nigeria would like to access contraception that is not available to them. Those 4 million women right now, cannot realize their rights and choices. I'm still hopeful for Nigeria though. I think Nigeria's biggest asset is her people. We will know exactly how many when the Population Commission have finalized its census in April 23. But we do expect that by 2050, Nigeria will be 250 million strong. Half of those people, 125 million roughly, will be women. And by placing gender equality, rights and choices at the center of development, we are building the foundation for a strong and prosperous Nigeria where women and men are equal. That is Nigeria's biggest assets. But to do that, of course, we also need to ensure financing initiatives are sustainable, because Nigeria should also reduce donor dependency and, of course, donor fatigue. Nigeria is so capable. There's nothing I think Nigeria cannot do when she put her mind to it. I therefore also think it is timely to use this occasion to call on the Ministry of Health and the government of Nigeria to honor its Nairobi Summit commitment, an annual financial commitment of $4 million over 5 years, so 20 million in total, and to pay the outstanding balance of 8 million for 2021 and 22, and ensure that the 2023 commitment is also paid. This commitment goes towards contraceptives, for commodities. They are life-saving, and they will contribute significantly to reduce maternal mortality and to end unmet need for family planning. And I hope that we will place this consideration, the lives of mothers, the lives of women, and the lives of children, at the center of the deliberations at this conference. Family planning saves lives. Family planning builds futures. And I'm therefore looking forward to the outcomes of this conference. And I commit me, personally, and my team to working constructively and positively with stakeholders to implement the outcomes so we can indeed move the needle and for the first time in more than a decade, increase the modern contraceptive prevalence rate in Nigeria. So let me end by congratulating AAFP and all its partners for consistently putting together this event. And I wish you all fruitful consultations during the conference. And let me thank you, everyone here, for putting rights and choices at the heart of what we do. Because when we do that, we ensure that women and girls are not left behind. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Country Rep UNFPA, Elizabeth Mueller, for that. Moving on with the goodwill messages, we want to invite Dr. Okai Haruna Aku, the Executive Director, Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, PPFN, for his goodwill message. Please, a round of applause as he comes for it.
Once more, good afternoon, everyone. I want the chairman to pardon me. I want to stand on existing protocol. I am here on behalf of Implementing Partners, that is the non-governmental organization. I am delighted and honored to be part of this important conference that seeks to empower and improve the lives of everyone in Nigeria. I congratulate all of us, especially the Implementing Partners, for this initiative. I also thank the government of Nigeria for creating a favorable environment for this conference. It will interest us to know that more than half of the maternal death worldwide occurs in Sub-Africa, and Nigeria about 2.2 or 3% of the population, providing about 10% of this maternal death, which is unacceptable. Adolescents, especially girls, are disproportionately adversely affected by HIV/AIDS and STI. Gender-based violence, harmful traditional practices, poor access to health services, and underrepresentation in political, economic, and social development. In the last International Family Planning Conference in Pattaya, after 3 days of engaging session, Nigeria was one of the 8 countries that announced commitment to increase their country's domestic budget for contraceptives. Give a round of applause for Nigeria. And we will continue to follow you in advocacy to make sure that, yes, these are promptly released. As implementing partner, we are committed to implementing projects that provide results for quality services and accountability. We partner with stakeholders, work with communities to ensure the success of family planning and SRH in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okai Haruna Aku, Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria. And thank you for also sticking to the time. Please, 3 minutes is the time. All right, we will now hear from Dr. Jeremy Zungarana, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Good afternoon. I would like to stand on existing protocol with all my respect to you all. It's a great pleasure to be able to deliver this goodwill message on behalf of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. As Nigeria is one of our deep engagement country for our foundation, and we are proud of the productive partnership that we have had with the country through our supporter state at the federal level over the years. As you know, the Bill and Melinda Gates is a non-profit foundation fighting poverty, disease, inequity around the world, with the realization that we cannot achieve our own without other. Therefore, we are partnering with government, businesses, non-profit organizations, with each partner playing a specific role in accelerating progress. So the foundation believes that all life have equal value, and over the years we have supported the health sector, in particularly family planning, through its family planning strategy by issuing complex portfolio of grant and technical assistance at both federal and in selected state level. I'm going to jump a little bit to save time and really appreciate the local organizing committee, and particularly the Association of Advancement of Family Planning, who have ensured that this conference has been held every 2 years since the inception. We know that family planning has been a very, very important topic, but underfunded, underplanned. And based on what we are seeing for the coming year, there will be a big shortage of support in family planning, funding, and women's health. And therefore, we need to really continue advocacy and putting the topic of family planning on top if we want to really have a quality human capital development. Looking at the agenda, I see that there was a pre-conference of the youth, interfaith, and women who are critical in ensuring that family planning take the rightful place among the citizenry. I hope that the funding and recommendation from the pre-conferences will help us shape the final outcome of the conference. I also realize that during all the speeches and goodwill, we are also getting great recommendations that will be considered. This conference brings together all family planning stakeholders to provide the opportunity to foster policy debate, exchange of ideas, and share experience on the progress made so far, identifying emerging issues of family planning and reproductive health. I encourage everyone to proffer workable solutions and explore innovative way of building new generation of partners at all levels that enable family planning, community of practice, build synergy for concrete action as we chart the way forward toward improving the family planning landscape. As Nigeria development partner, colleague, and friend, I would like to reaffirm the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation commitment to supporting Nigeria for the long haul in meeting family planning goal and human capital development objective. Once again, I congratulate the local organizing team, the government of Nigeria, stakeholder, and all members of the Nigeria Family Planning community for organizing this family planning conference, and wish you successful deliberation. May God bless Nigeria. God bless it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeremy. Next is goodwill message from USAID and representing Unpartisan, Paul McDermott, Health, Population and Nutrition Office Director. I think this is going to be virtual. Please, a round of applause as we take the goodwill message from USAID.
Good afternoon. I see my camera is not activated. I'm wondering if that can be done. An Honorable Minister of State for Health, representing the Honorable Minister of Health, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Senator Tejuosho, heads of agencies, bilaterals, multilaterals, civil society, and the private sector, and of course my fellow development partners, ladies and gentlemen. If I could also add my existing protocol dream, because there's been some very wonderful, comprehensive respect given to all of the participants. I wouldn't want to fall short. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. On behalf of the United States Agency for International Development, I'd like to thank everyone who worked on this 7th National Family Planning Conference, who brought it to life, and for the opportunity to pass along this goodwill message to the government of Nigeria and participants on behalf of our mission director, Dr. Ann Patterson. Undoubtedly, family planning is the most cost-effective way of reducing pregnancy-related deaths and child deaths. Without access to family planning, pregnancies they come too often, too early. There's no question that if Nigeria meets the family planning needs of its growing population, it will prevent and avert unintended pregnancies. This is one of the most cost-effective ways of reducing mother and child deaths and improving the health of the nation as it works towards its larger development goals. The U.S. government, through the U.S. Agency for International Development, is committed to supporting the government as it strives to achieve its goal of reaching modern contraceptive prevalence rates of 27% by 2030, the theme of this conference. Data trends show that this rate in Nigeria increases by just 0.4% annually. By the 2018 National Demographic and Health Survey, the rate had reached 12%. If we continue at the current pace, we won't reach our goal in Nigeria until 2055. Through its partners, USAID supports family planning services, integration with maternal and child health programs at national and state level. We include routine immunization and polio eradication, gender-based violence, and addressing gender norms. The assistance continues at more than $400 million in family planning assistance and $8.1 billion in total assistance from the U.S. government that's been provided in Nigeria over the past 20 years. Since the last we met in 2020 at this conference, USAID reached over 700,000 new family planning users, provided services to over 1.1 million clients, and most importantly, trained 3,291 healthcare providers to deliver high-quality family planning services. USAID has also traditionally stepped in to procure and help distribute family planning commodities, an investment totaling over $70 million over the last 5 years. With the disruption of COVID-19, we know that domestic resources have been hard to generate, but yet we acknowledge that the government has increased domestic resources for family planning and developing guidelines for the state governments who wish to fund family planning commodity procurement. This is welcome. However, there still exists a funding gap of $26.7 million after taking into consideration the funding commitments from donors and partners. USAID would like to see a dedicated and sustained budget line item at national and state level budgets to fund family planning commodities, along with a more timely release of funds. I was very encouraged last year when Minister Heniri launched his operational framework for partners. The operational plan that was launched was very encouraging, and we would like to see that type of leadership continues. Through this conference, we can chart a collective way forward to improve access to quality family planning services, especially for the most vulnerable populations in hard-to-reach areas, young adults, adolescents, and people in conflict-affected regions. I join my development partner colleagues in looking forward to a lively discussion, exchange of lessons learned, and most importantly, continued partnerships and collaboration with all of you. I thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Paul McDermott. And next is Development Office, Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO. We have Dr. Nedison Hassa. Please a round of applause for him.
Your Royal Highness, Honourable Minister of State, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand on existing protocol. On behalf of His Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom, I'm delighted to join you here today at the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference. Expanding access to family planning is critical to Nigeria's development. Better access to voluntary family planning will enable women and men to plan their families, improve their health, and enhance their standard of living. As my distinguished colleagues have already said, it is also one of the most cost-effective interventions in our toolkit, and it is one of the smartest interventions that leaders can make to unlock opportunity for millions of women and their families. Conversely, neglecting family planning holds back women and girls, holds back communities, and holds back entire countries. Compared to other countries of sub-Saharan Africa, use of modern family planning in Nigeria remains low. This has contributed to Nigeria having the 4th highest maternal mortality in the world, and more people have been plunged into poverty as the population has grown faster than the economy, than jobs, and than basic services. As many as 4 in 10 Nigerians now live below the national poverty line, and 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. And this is where family planning comes in. Family planning is a silver bullet for development. We welcome the Nigerian government's vision as set out in its Family Planning 2030 commitments to be a country where everyone, including adolescents, young people, populations affected by crisis, and other vulnerable populations are able to make informed choices, have equitable and affordable access to quality family planning, and participate as equals in society's development, with a target to increase the modern contraceptive prevalence rate to at least 27%. We urge federal and state governments to back up this ambition with the necessary political will, funding, and service delivery to turn this vision into a reality. Ending the preventable deaths of mothers, newborns, and children, and supporting women and girls around the world are key priorities for the UK. Over the past decade, we have invested significantly in this goal in support of the Nigerian government to improve access to modern, voluntary family planning across the country and to strengthen health systems for sustainable impact, which we heard earlier through our WISH program and also through our LAFIA program. We're also investing heavily in girls' education, which we know empowers women with greater autonomy in their decision-making, more knowledge about reproduction and contraception, and higher potential for earnings. Let me close by congratulating the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning and partners for organizing this conference. We hope that discussions this week will catalyze greater progress in the effort to expand access to family planning across Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nedison Hassa. Sure, having the political will to bring these things to bear is the way to go. At this point, we want to invite Renee Piston, First Secretary Development for Global Affairs Canada, representing G4 Ahadu. Please, a round of applause for him.
Your Royal Highness, Honorable Minister of State for Health, please allow me to stand on the existing protocols with profound respect for everyone here. It's a pleasure to be here today with you and for this important event to take stock and find pathways to further strengthen family planning and last mile delivery as a critical component to universal health care, particularly following the challenges of COVID-19. It was announced as part of the Nairobi Summit and reconfirmed at the recent International Conference on Family Planning in Thailand that sexual and reproductive health and rights are an essential part of universal health coverage. Countries moving towards universal health coverage, like Nigeria, need to consider how the needs of their population are met throughout their life course. To realize sexual reproductive health and rights for all, we must look beyond the health services and also address the laws and norms that influence gender equality. We will only achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, including universal health care, if we make progress in addressing gender inequality and ensure that women and girls are able to make decisions about their futures. COVID has shown how health inequalities can threaten decades of development gains, and that is why Canada values our cooperation with Nigeria and other development partners who are present here today, working towards ensuring health systems have the resilience to continue providing services, including those services to the most vulnerable populations within Nigeria. Canada supports health programming in Nigeria to strengthen country-led integrated health systems And we recognize this conference as a critical opportunity to examine how we can build more resilient and self-sustaining healthcare systems so that access to family planning services and commodities is not interrupted. Canada's support to health is guided by our feminist international assistance policy, and I would like to acknowledge all of the many ways that women contribute to the health of this nation, from household and community level, to clinical practice, to research and academia, and governance and leadership, and how important it is that they will be to building and enhancing family planning services and health systems for Nigeria. As we've also just finished marking the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, I also wish to recognize the efforts of health workers and volunteers and leadership in caring for survivors and addressing sexual and gender-based violence. Given the large population under the age of 35, this is an urgent prompt to all of us to ensure family planning and sexual and reproductive health is also accessible, which is one reason why Canada works in partnership with UNFPA and the Government of Nigeria in the area of sexual reproductive health and rights. I also want to commend the federal government's attention to and prioritization of family planning and population issues. Having mentioned leadership at the federal level, I want to emphasize the importance of leadership and decisions at the state level and subnational levels of governance. Transparency and accountability at the federal and state levels are a key part of achieving health results and ensuring that budgets for health are effectively dispersed and used. I also want to recognize the importance involvement of traditional leaders and religious leaders. This is critical for success, and the projects that have been funded by Canada show many positive and transformative examples of their leadership, and I hope that will continue and increase in number. I wish to congratulate everyone for a successful event so far and for fruitful and frank discussions and deliberations in the days to come, so that we emerge from this summit with renewed purpose and resolve to improve health outcomes for all Nigerians. And I hope to hear more about the roadmap for partnerships to take forward the results from this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll move to the last goodwill message for today, and that is from FP 2030 Secretariat, Dr. Samu Dube, Executive Director, FP 2030, representing Dr. Fenosa. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Dube.
And I'm standing on existing protocol. But allow me to say to the Honorable Minister of State and Your Excellencies who are present today, and those of you who are partnering with women and girls to make the needed difference in Nigeria on family planning, I just greet you from Niger, where I'm attending the OPCU meeting. Congratulations on the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference that you are holding today, and my sincere apologies that I'm not able to be with you. But sincerely expressing from the FP 2030 family our shared mutual values, our interests and objectives in the field of family planning in this great nation of Nigeria. First, I would like to congratulate and thank you for making your FP 2030 commitment. This enables the government of Nigeria and the various states who are committed to family planning to join a global network of resources, dialogues, people, technical expertise, and even financing that is committed to family planning. This access to technical know-how on how to scale up family planning is important in Nigeria. FP 2030 is the only global partnership that is focused solely on family planning.
All right, I think we have a technical hitch there. We lost Dr. Samu Dube somewhere. We'll still go on. To break the talks, let's invite Phil Roberts for a song, I Stand for Nigeria. Okay. So we will continue now with the special remarks.
Go ahead.
All right, we have right here in our midst the Honorable Chairman, National Population Commission, Honorable Nasir Isa Kwara. A round of applause as we welcome him to the podium.
Auzubillahi samil alim minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The chairman of this occasion, Your Royal Highness, my royal father, the Andoma of Doma. Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of State for Health, Honorable Commissioners, National Population Commission, the representatives of ministers of Federal Capital Territory, Women Affairs, and all other heads of government agencies here, our development partners, members of the civil society organization, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to deliver these special remarks at this unique event. I start by expressing our gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Health for the consistency in the hosting of this important event, which demonstrates the extent to which issues of family planning are very important. The theme of the conference, Journey to 2030, the opportunities ahead, is very timely as I align myself with the goals and targets of most of these policies and strategies that are already in place for implementation as we march towards 2030. Some of which are the revised National Population Policy for Sustainable Development and its strategic plan of action, the user-friendly version of the National Population Policy, which we plan to break into, translate into Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and the Pidgin English for robust engagement of all our stakeholders at national, state, and local government levels. The National Action Plan for the Nairobi commitments, the investment case to secure funding for demographic dividend activities, and the DD strategic plan implementation, which will be launched today. May I remind us that the world population has reached 8 billion, and this took place on the 15th of November this year. And Africa made the second largest contribution, almost 400 million. And we all know where the increase came from. 10 countries contributed to more than half of the population growth. India, and which is the largest contributor, is followed by China and Nigeria. How did we get there? Our modern contraceptive prevalence rate, MCPR, is among the lowest in the world, at 12%. Total fertility rate is extremely high, at an average of 5-6 child per Nigerian woman, with some states recording even 7 child per woman. 19% of women of reproductive age have unmet needs for family planning. Child marriages still persist at about 43%, most of who got married at the age of 18. For every 100,000 live births, more than half of our women are likely to die of preventable causes that is 512 per 100,000. 112 live births. Childhood mortality at 132 deaths per 1,000 is still one of the main public health concerns, where every minute a child under 5 dies, resulting in 1,440 deaths daily in Nigeria. All these and much more exist because issues of family planning have not received the extent of attention, financial and otherwise, to change the status quo. What are the opportunities that we can take advantage of in the next 8 years to change the profile and the narrative? 1, provide adequate and sustainable financing from government and support of donors for family planning, security, distribution of distribution to last mile, including availability of consumables at for free and service points closest to people to achieve zero unmet need family planning by the year 2030. Invest heavily in quality education for the youth, especially the adolescent girl, to reduce out-of-school children dropout rate among the women and girls, and all forms of discrimination and gender-based violence everywhere in Nigeria to achieve zero gender-based violence and harmful practices that are against women and girls, including zero preventable maternity death by 2030. Invest heavily in empowerment of women. Situate family planning within the universal health coverage to accelerate choices and access that aptly provide answers to people's needs. And finally, expand advocacy, awareness, sensitization to subnational levels to arouse consciousness on the importance of family planning to our national development aspiration, improvements in the quality of life of all Nigerians, particularly women and girls, peace and progress. It is unequivocal that the family planning is pivotal to Nigeria, taking advantage of opportunities that lie ahead of 2030. In that regard, Nigeria must shift approach of addressing concerns of family planning from business as usual to business unusual. We should take the conversation on family planning beyond borders and beyond boundaries and barriers. I'd like to conclude by stating this African proverb by Martha Jordan. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I therefore urge us to be united in addressing the issue of family planning in Nigeria. I thank the organizers of this conference, and I show that MPC is part of this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our digital chairman, that's what we call him. Another round of applause for him. Thank you. I'd now have the pleasure to invite the representative of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, who has been here from the very beginning, Princess Jumai Idonije. You have the floor. Please let's welcome her warmly.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to observe the protocols that have already been established and to bring you warm greetings from the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent, OFR, KSG, who would have loved to be here, but she's out of town. She's doing what she knows how to do best, engaging with the community to ensure a Nigeria fit for women and children, and by extension, all of us in this country. Let me start her address by saying I want to thank the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning and the Federal Ministry of Health, and of course, their sponsors for sustaining this conference, which we are all gathered to be part of, the 7th edition. It is good to know that the theme is Journey to 2030, the opportunities ahead. A critical look at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the 169 targets of the Agenda 2030 show that they are all related to women and girls' empowerment and health. No doubt, family planning is very critical to us as a nation in our journey towards achieving Agenda 2030. This comes out clearly in Goal 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals, guarantee good health and well-being for all, and in Goal 5, promote gender equality and the empowerment of girls. Nigeria's current population is estimated at 200 million. We want to be sure that at the end of the national census, which the National Population Commission has taken a bold step to want to conduct, that this figure is truly validated. No doubt, women and girls form close to 50% of the population, and as such, no society can claim to be making progress if the women are still impoverished, when nearly 1 in 5 young women are still married off at the age of 18, when in some cultures, women are still expected to bear 11 children as an evidence of the greatness of the husband, and it is celebrated with the slaughtering of a ram as a reward for this gesture. This is why, at the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, the national machinery for the advancement of the well-being of women and girls, we have, since the last few years, continued to drive advocacy around more commitment and bold actions to accelerate progress, including through the promotion of laws, policies, budgets, and institutions that advance gender equality in our bid to leave no one behind. I am happy to say that our advocacy has paid off in the increase in the number of states that have domesticated the 2 critical acts that we have all been talking about, and that is the Child Rights Act 2003 and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015. Today, we are bold and happy to announce that 34 states out of the 36 states have domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, as against 8 in 2019. We're also proud to announce that 34 states out of 24 that we had in 2019 have also domesticated the Child Rights Act, which is a good sign for us that our advocacy is paying off. But let me state here that domestication isn't not enough. There is a need to gazette them in view of the need to guarantee greater recognition. I want to, at this juncture, say that working with the Federal Ministry of Health and, of course, the Federal Ministry of Education, development partners, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, traditional institutions, and that's why we commend our traditional ruler, the chairman of this occasion, for taking us through the path he took us through in the morning. We thank you, Your Royal Highness. We're ensuring that we have access to sexual and reproductive health care services, including for family planning information and education and integration of reproductive health. Let me therefore conclude by urging all present to make deliberate commitment towards achieving the country's goal in family planning through the enabling environment and the political will we currently have in the country. I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Princess, for a very good representation. Our Chairman, Royal Highness, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to recognize that in the hall we have Nigerian youths. Can we have Nigerian youths please be upstanding for your special recognition? Great Nigerian youths. Thank you very much. Very soon they'll be sharing with us the outcome of their own meeting. At this point, I'd like to also invite to the microphone the representative of the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Dr. Matthew Ashikeni. Thank you, sir.
The chairman of this very, very important conference, and the Andoma of Doma, His Royal Highness, Alhaji Amadu Aliyu Oga Onao OON, the Andoma of Doma, who is my own royal father. I'm sure you noticed I had to pay homage. You are welcome, sir. The Honorable Minister of State for Health, representative of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, the Chairman, Executive Chairman of the National Population Commission, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the protocol established for time. The Honorable Minister FCT, Malam Mohammed Musa Bello, will have been here personally because of the importance he attached to this conference. And of course, the Chairman LOC is one of us. He's a member of his cabinet, and he personally wanted to honor this invitation. Unfortunately, as you know, and you have been told, he's out of town. So the permanent secretary will have been here, but he was sent on another assignment. The Secretary of Health will have been here, but I am here to represent all of them. This conference is very, very important, and the Honorable Minister considers this a very great honor to have been invited to be here to meet all of you, and also to be here as the host, chief host for this event today. This is the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference, and it is my great pleasure to, on behalf of the residents of the Federal Capital Territory, to welcome all of you to Abuja. So on behalf of the Honorable Minister, you are all welcome. So you should feel at home. Abuja is safe. You are very much welcome and feel very much at home to deliberate on this very important subject. I wish to sincerely thank all the stakeholders, especially our partners, the donors, development partners who are here, implementing partners, and the donors to this conference. He has asked that we thank you very sincerely. To be able to be here is no mean feat. I believe you are aware the 7th Nigeria Family Planning Conference is organized by the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning in partnership with the government of Nigeria through the Federal Ministry of Health and other collaborators and supporters, including the FCTA, which I preside over. I'm speaking on behalf of the minister now. So when I say I preside over, it's not Dr. Ashikeni, director. The focus of this conference is the road to 2030 and the importance of different partnerships for us to succeed in achieving our goals. The current administration is not unaware of the current adverse effects of the unmoderated population growth we are experiencing and its effects on high mortality, high morbidity, both child and maternal, poverty, poor literacy level, to mention but a few. It is in recognition of this that our president issued a public statement some time ago, charging all ministers to work to see how we can manage the Nigerian population. You are all aware of the launch of the revised population policy for sustainable development. The Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory, within its jurisdiction and capacity, will continue to provide necessary support for any cause that will improve the lives of Nigerians. As you know, the FCT is home to all Nigerians. So when we implement in FCT, we are implementing for all Nigerians. It is on this note, ladies and gentlemen, that I implore all the stakeholders to join hands with our government in whatever capacity to ensure that the goal of the government regarding the population and development is achieved come 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, once again, I welcome you all and I wish us a very fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matthew Ashikenu, representing the Honorable Minister of the FCT. Honorable Minister, sir, our Royal Father, still on existing protocols, please permit me to welcome for the keynote address on human capital, the keynote address for the conference, Brenda Hayes. Brenda Hayes is a senior specialist at the World Bank and leads the global financing facility work on sexual and reproductive health and rights. Brenda worked at MSI Reproductive Choices, where he led the private sector service delivery for family planning and reproductive health services. He began his career working on HIV prevention and impact mitigation efforts in Swaziland. And he is married and lives in Uganda with his wife and 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, the keynote address. A round of applause for him as we take that.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the chairman for inviting me to speak today. If the organizers can unlock my camera and allow me to share my screen, I have a few slides to guide us through this keynote presentation. First of all, thank you very much. It is a unique honor and pleasure. And with the permission of the chairman, I humbly request that we adopt the protocols that have been previously observed. As the MC indicated, my name is Brendan Hayes. I am a senior health specialist with the Global Financing Facility Secretariat, and I'll be presenting to you today on behalf of our global director, Dr. Juan Pablo Uribe, who was unable to join us today due to conflicting travel schedule. As the introduction indicated, my presentation today will be looking at the human capital of women and girls and how this agenda is linked to access to voluntary modern methods of family planning. In many ways, as the earlier speaker suggested, this is an amplification of the messages that were sent by His Royal Highness in his earlier presentation. In the room today, you have experts from all aspects of this agenda. There are, of course, policymakers, there are demographers, there are advocacy organizations, and the contents of this presentation will not be new for very many of you. In fact, I have heard in the presentations earlier in the day echoes of the key messages that I will be delivering through this presentation. But we've also heard about the financing challenges we have for expanding access to family planning. And so this presentation is an attempt to discuss a reframing of this agenda around these key themes of human capital, and importantly, how they contribute not only to the health and well-being of women and girls, but importantly, how they also contribute to economic development and the wealth of nations. So my presentation today, this afternoon, will be looking at 4 different areas. Firstly, we will cover the role of human capital for women and girls in particular, but importantly, the role that human capital plays in driving economic growth and in explaining the differences in wealth between nations. We will also touch on the inaction on human capital. We've heard today the framing of this agenda as a great opportunity, and it certainly is a great opportunity. But there is also a cost of inaction. The status quo is costing countries like Nigeria dearly, and we will discuss this aspect. Third, we will also look at specifically the importance of family planning and sexual and reproductive health and rights for supporting human capital accumulation for women and girls. And finally, we will look at what countries in the region can do to take advantage of these opportunities. So let's start with human capital. And again, we heard many speakers today, including His Royal Highness, speak about the importance of human capital. Human capital is an economics term that is looking at the aggregate of health and education, the skills and the capabilities of a country's citizens. This is the real wealth of nations. And several years ago, the World Bank put out a flagship report to really highlight this fact to governments. And highlight this fact because we see this very strong correlation between human capital accumulation and national income. And in fact, if we look at and explore the factors that explain the difference in wealth between nations, we see that human capital is a key aspect of this difference. In wealthy nations, where you have a larger base of wealth, human capital explains the vast majority of that wealth. Up to 70% of the wealth in wealthy, rich countries is explained by their human capital accumulation. In poorer countries, in low-income countries, where you have a much smaller base of wealth, human capital also accounts for a smaller share of that wealth, only around 40%, with most of the balance coming from natural resource wealth. So it's very clear that this growth trajectory is about strategies for converting that natural resource wealth into human capital. And that human capital is what is going to drive future growth for nations throughout the region, throughout the world. The World Bank also makes an attempt to measure human capital by looking at important components of human capital, including the health of children, nutritional status of children, looking at the quality of educational outcomes, and looking at overall life expectancy. Very much an agenda focused on health and education. For Nigeria, the estimates suggest that a child born today will be only 36% as productive as he or she might otherwise have been if that child had been given the opportunity of good health, nutrition, and full education. So as you can see, the difference between 36% and 100% is a vast opportunity multiplied by the tens and hundreds of millions of children throughout the region. There's also, of course, a gender dimension to human capital. In many settings, girls have poor human capital outcomes than boys do. And throughout the sub-Saharan African region, we also identify very gender-specific barriers to educational access, for example, and quality educational outcomes, which is, of course, a critically important aspect of human capital formation. Distances to school, for example, early marriage practices, early pregnancy, and of course other gender-related norms that limit investment in women and girls and limit their economic opportunities after they have done their schooling years are holding back human capital throughout the region. I also want to call out the importance of gender-based violence being a particular challenge, and obviously core to securing sexual and reproductive health and rights is addressing violence against women and girls. This chart on the right is just a tracking of the persistent gaps in secondary education attainment that we see throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And that's not to say there hasn't been any progress over the past 40 years. As you can see, educational attainment has grown substantially, and yet that gap between girls and boys continues to persist. Of course, I don't need to tell anyone in the room today that demographics also matter for this human capital story. As you can see from the scatter plot on the right, there is a very strong correlation between total fertility rate and the human capital index, that measure of human capital accumulation. We know, of course, that in many parts of sub-Saharan Africa, including in Nigeria, women are having more children than would be suggested by their fertility preferences, suggesting obviously an unmet need for contraception. This, of course, from an economic standpoint, increases household consumption, and it limits investment in human capital accumulation, limits investment in good nutrition, in health, in educational opportunities. Unwanted pregnancies also create health-related risks for women and girls. Maternal causes of death, as we are all aware, are one of the leading causes of death for adolescent girls in particular, which limits life expectancy. It also creates unnecessary morbidity. For every death, there are scores of girls and women who suffer long-term health implications from unintended, poorly spaced, or too early pregnancies. There is, of course, a significant cost of inaction. As I indicated earlier, yes, this is a great opportunity, but there is substantial cost of inaction as well. Some very brief examples. The World Bank estimates that in Africa, each additional year of schooling will raise a man's earnings by 11%. A girl who is invested in will see her earnings increase by 14%. So neglecting our women and girls is costing those households foregone income, and it is costing our countries foregone economic growth. In fact, in Nigeria, just looking at one of these issues, child marriage, the lost earnings and the lost productivity, lost wages of early marriage in Nigeria is costing the economy up to $7.6 billion annually. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, maternal mortality and maternal health outcomes are an extremely important consideration. Nigeria is home to 2.4% of the world's population, a very important 2.4%, of course. But Nigeria is also the place where nearly 10% of preventable maternal deaths are taking place. And as I indicated, not only is that a drag on the life expectancy of women, but it is also a signal that we have a much larger problem of preventable morbidity that is also placing a drag on economic outcomes for women and girls. And of course, within Nigeria, we also see that lack of access to family planning and lack of birth spacing options in the country is causing nearly 3 million unintended pregnancies annually in Nigeria. Many of those unintended pregnancies are happening to amongst younger women. And if we look at this kind of direct line between sexual and reproductive health outcomes and human capital, we see that it is quite clear. We see a very clear correlation between low adolescent fertility rates and high scores on the human capital index. And of course, early fertility, teen pregnancy, operates on human capital through a number of different mechanisms. One, of course, it is limiting educational investments in girls that fall pregnant and have children early. It is also creates an intergenerational impact. The children born to adolescent mothers have poorer health outcomes, they have lower rates of survival, and they also suffer from higher rates of nutritional stunting, which has significant cognitive impacts on those children and will limit their ability to accumulate human capital later in life. We also have strong evidence from a number of settings, evidence suggesting that giving access to women and girls, giving them access to contraception will lead to higher educational attainment. There was a very recent paper published on an experiment in the United States, my country of birth, where girls in high school were given access to modern methods of family planning. Those girls were tracked over the next 10 years, and what they found was that girls who had been just given the offer of modern methods of contraception were more likely to attain a bachelor's degree later in life, up to 6 to 12% increase in that level, very high level of educational attainment. Very clear connections between access to modern methods of family planning and improvements in educational outcomes and human capital accumulation. So what do we need in order to accelerate progress on this agenda? I've heard from many speakers send signals that it's very clear that we need greater investment in this area. We also acknowledge that family planning, while a multi-sectoral issue, is an important intervention delivered by our health systems, and we know that health systems throughout the region, throughout the world, frankly, are underfinanced. And in particular, this primary healthcare level attracts very little investment. A recent Lancet Commission on Primary Healthcare Financing found that in low-income countries, from domestic public resources, only $3 is being spent per capita per year on primary health care. And in low and middle income countries, that number is only $16 per capita. These numbers are far too low to deliver the kinds of health benefits, health and nutritional benefits that are needed to drive improvements in human capital. Primary healthcare is an important part of this agenda, including that layer in the community. The PHC system is going to be one of your most equitable ways to deliver access to services close to users where they need those interventions, and all methods of family planning can be capably delivered at this primary and community level. And I would expand this beyond family planning, certainly. Most sexual and reproductive health interventions, most essential services can be delivered at this level. And when we look at the association between increasing investment in primary health care, and we look at what that means for universal health coverage and the coverage of essential health services, we see a very clear linear association. It's very clear. It's a logarithmic association, but we see a very clear association between these variables. So increasing investment in primary health care will be good for the health of your population, and it will be good for expanding access to interventions like family planning. But we also have unique financing challenges in family planning. We have real investment in PHC, but we also recognize that throughout the region, we have very low commitment from governments to finance family planning from public domestic sources. The scatter plot on the right is a scatter plot of all of the countries that are eligible for the global financing facility. Many of these are in sub-Saharan Africa. And effectively, you can almost see no association between GNI per capita and the share of public sector contraceptive needs that are met from public domestic sources. And this suggests that we have a systemic challenge getting governments to commit resources for this very important agenda. And the impact of this is both that we have a reliance on donors, which we have heard about today from previous speakers, but we also have a huge reliance, actually the largest of our reliances across low and lower middle income countries, low income and lower middle income countries, is a high reliance on out-of-pocket spending from households. This financing from households is a substantial share, but it is also a very inequitable, inefficient way to finance family planning and access to contraception. We also know that aside from this household out-of-pocket, we have a high reliance on donor financing, and I think many speakers have highlighted the uniquely risky time we are in when it comes to official development assistance in our countries. On this point around out-of-pocket spending, this is not to say that the private sector has no role to play in meeting the needs of women and girls. But being focused on delivering those services free or very low cost at the point of care should be a top priority of policymakers. And then finally, we recognize that beyond just access to contraception, there are legal and policy barriers that hold back our health systems from adequately meeting the needs of women and girls. And I would extend this into the multi-sectoral domain. We see throughout the region limits on the re-entry, for example, of young mothers back into the educational system. These are important issues that also need to be addressed. So a few closing points. Firstly, improving access to sexual and reproductive health and rights is important, and it's important certainly for securing the rights of women and girls. And I should note that my presentation is not to suggest that we should be adopting overly utilitarian arguments. We should be expanding the constituency for these arguments, for communicating with ministries of finance and with other financiers and other stakeholders. But this work is worth doing simply because it is the right thing to do, and I do think that that is important for us to keep in mind. It is also very clear that this is not just a health agenda, although access to modern methods of family planning is critical for improving health outcomes for women and girls. The Global Financing Facility, for whom I work for, was established in 2015 to improve health outcomes for women, children, and adolescents. And when we look across all interventions and adequate financing for those interventions across all of the countries eligible for the GFF, fully 25% of our health impact is coming just from expanding access to modern methods of contraception. So critically important for health and well-being, but also important for human capital and important for economic growth, and that is also important to keep in mind. I think an important message for policymakers in the room who are balancing competing priorities, and of course we recognize the very difficult decisions that need to get made around those competing priorities. But this area has a substantial cost of inaction, and I think that is another important message to send. And then finally, even with fertility decline, and we've heard many speakers reference the demographic dividend, and it is indeed certainly a huge opportunity for a country like Nigeria, but it is also not a guarantee. We have countries that have reduced fertility but have not created the accompanying opportunities for women and girls, and therefore have seen limited benefits from a fertility transition. And so situating this work in a broader investment agenda is critically important. And as we are working and thinking through the priorities and the competing demands, I think it is important that we ensure that we are building our alliances. And this primary healthcare platform is a great opportunity to do so. Success in childhood immunization, in HIV programming, in addressing malaria, in expanding access to modern methods of family planning all rely on a strong PHC system that reaches into the community. And I think making common cause with those advocates making common cause with technicians to come up with the best approaches to integrated service delivery is how we are going to stretch our limited fiscal space to meet the growing needs of women and girls in Nigeria and throughout the region for access to family planning. Once again, on behalf of the Global Financing Facility, I want to thank the organizers for inviting us to present today. It is a unique honor and privilege, and we want to also reiterate our support for Nigeria as the country pursues an agenda to invest in the health and well-being of women and girls, and we stand by the country and will work closely with your partners to support your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There'll be no need for me to comment on this erudite presentation for want of time. I'm sure people are already getting tired. The presentation was very clear as to how important it is to invest on women and girls to provide the necessary gender dividends, which is an integral part of the demographic dividend that we're talking about. Chairman, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me on behalf of this August gathering thank our keynote speaker, Brenda Hayes, for giving us another food for thought, and I believe that this presentation, which we will all see in the long run and digest properly, will contribute immensely towards our agenda, 2030 agenda, and will no doubt help us in actualizing our desired goal of going even beyond 27% contraceptive prevalence rate by 2030. And on that note, let me thank all of you who have listened attentively and call this keynote presentation to a close. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Can we please again appreciate our moderator, Prof. Thank you for making it all so swift and concluding very well. Your Excellencies, all very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Highness, our Chairman, at this point I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Honorable Joseph Ikuma Kama, who will formally declare the conference open. Honorable Minister, sir.
The chairman of the occasion, His Royal Highness Alhaji Ahmadu Aliyu Oga Onawo, the Andoma of Doma. The representative of the Chief of Air Staff, the Director of Family Health, and other directors here present, representatives of the various partners and donors, Dr. Aminu Dorai, co-chairman of the LOC, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I am highly delighted to address this August gathering of distinguished men and women and young people who are committed to achieving increased access to family planning, information, service, and supplies by all Nigerians of reproductive age. I commend all participants from different walks of life who have joined the discussions, exchange of ideas, and experience sharing around the status of family planning programming in the country. Nigeria's population is now estimated at 210 million people, having grown at 2.6 to 3.2 annually for the past several decades. This makes us the 7th most populous country in the world. Nigeria's relatively high population growth can be attributed mainly to early child marriage, social stigma on family planning and cultural resistance to the use of contraceptives, lack of quality education regarding family planning methods, and limited access to affordable contraceptives. Of interest also is the fact that our country has a very youthful age structure, with nearly 3/4 of its population under the age of 30 years. Even if our fertility and mortality rates decline substantially, Nigeria will still have a youthful age structure, which is projected to increase by 40% by 2025. Without effective population policy to reduce the high fertility rate, Nigeria will be about 4th or 5th most populous country in the world, with a projected population of about 400 million by 2050. This demographic trend has implications on Nigeria's economic development, as the youth population are dependents. They need support and access to education, healthcare, and other social services. It could then mean that rapid population growth will put substantial pressure on the country's capacity to provide quality social services, such as schools, clinics, adequate sanitation, as well as food and other basic needs. Most importantly, the economy we have to generate enough jobs to absorb the millions of young people joining the labor market every year. While Nigeria is seen as Africa's largest economy based on GDP, the economic growth has not been equitable or broadly shared, with almost 60% of the population living on less than $1 per day. The good news is that we have made significant progress in reducing child mortality rates, combating communicable diseases, including polio eradication. However, the same rate of progress has not been made in improving maternal health, especially in some regions of the current country where there is still a worrying number of women dying during delivery. Access to reproductive health is still poor, and unmet need for family planning is still high. The theme of this 7th National Family Planning Conference, The Journey to 2030, Opportunities Ahead, is very apt, as it is coming at the crucial time when issues of sustainable development are high on the agenda of the government. The recent global challenge of COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with dwindling donor funding support for family planning programming, is stimulating discourse among stakeholders towards finding innovative ways of addressing gaps in funding, human and material needs in delivery of family planning services, especially at the community level. One of the significant issues learned from the post-COVID-19 pandemic is the need to improve our emergency preparedness, especially around family planning and childbirth spacing. The importance of this conference, therefore, cannot be overemphasized, as it provides opportunity for fostering sincere discussions and securing consensus on workable approaches to improve family planning programming. The rich array of conference participants from government ministries, departments and agencies at both national and subnational levels, donors and development partners, academia, civil society, traditional institutions, faith-based organizations, media and private sector, provides a unique opportunity for cross-fertilization of ideas to move our country forward in all matters regarding reproductive health and family planning. This biennial conference, organized by the Federal Ministry of Health in collaboration with the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, AAFP, give credence to the commitment of government to addressing issues mitigating against national development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will recollect that as an outcome of the 2012 London Summit on Family Planning, the FP 220 goal was to enable 120 million additional women and girls of reproductive age group to use contraceptives by the year 2020. It is cheering to note that Nigeria has made modest progress towards this end, and it is believed that with a sustained momentum of these efforts, Nigeria will harness the envisaged demographic dividend. At the end of the FP 2020 initiative, Nigeria was quick to affirm its readiness to continue its alliance with the global stakeholders on family planning partnership agenda, and has been able to engage stakeholders to articulate Nigeria's FP 2030 commitments, which was launched by the Honorable Minister of Health in March 2022. Nigerian FP 2030 commitment articulates a pathway for the implementation of government policies and guidelines to promote utilization of quality family planning services in Nigeria and help stem the feared rapid rise in Nigerian population in 5 years ahead. Achieving the commitment's goal of a modern contraceptive prevalence rate of 27% by year 2030 is a critical milestone to ensuring universal access to reproductive health and rights, as well as achieving demographic dividend and accelerating progress across all development sectors. The Federal Ministry of Health of Nigeria is committed to implementation of Nigeria's FP 2030 commitment as a subset of the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 for meaningful outcomes. As you know, the National Development Plan recognizes Nigerian population size as presently putting tremendous strain on the country's already stretched social programs, particularly the healthcare system. This also recognizes the fact that without proper population management and economic development, the country's unemployment and poverty challenges could worsen. The National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, with the FP 2030 commitments and other related policy documents, will serve as vehicles towards reducing our population. This approach will include supporting women's empowerment, increasing public awareness by leveraging social media platforms, and enhance access to affordable contraceptives. The government will prioritize implementation of the Child Rights Act to abolish early child marriage and mount aggressive campaign to normalize family planning in Nigeria by removing existing stigmas and teaching the health and financial benefits of proper family planning. Additionally, the government will improve stakeholder coordination to align family planning messages and efficient delivery of activities. In furtherance of the above, the Federal Ministry of Health is working assiduously to address the skilled manpower deficits in the health system, including family planning service delivery. One of the major strategies is the adoption of the task-shifting, task-sharing policy, which enhances redistribution of clinical and other tasks among health workers. The policy has recently been reviewed to accommodate community pharmacists and patent and priority medicine vendors in the provision of some family planning methods. Additional cadres have been also recognized for specific tasks as approved in the policy. These include community nurses, community midwives, as well as community health influencers, promoters, and services agents. I sincerely hope that judicious use will be made of this critical mass of human resources for health to improve coverage of family planning services in the country while intensifying capacity building, supportive supervision, monitoring, and evaluation to guarantee quality of care provided. The Federal Ministry of Health is equally engaging religious and traditional rulers on issues of sexual and reproductive health and rights, including issues of male involvement in family planning and reproductive health. The buy-in of these leaders is critical to the success of ongoing efforts to improve provision of youth-friendly reproductive health services through a right-based approach with emphasis on and voluntary uptake. The role of the states and the Federal Capital Territory in ensuring sustained availability of family planning commodities in the country cannot be overemphasized. Hence, the Federal Ministry of Health is engaging with states to take advantage of the national guidelines for state-funded procurement of family planning commodities. This is with a view to prevent commodity shortages and last-mile distribution challenges, with a view to improving access to free, comprehensive family planning services as provided by the government. I wish to assure that Government of Nigeria will continue to play its leadership and coordination roles in family planning and reproductive health programming in Nigeria. I therefore call on all donors, partners, and other stakeholders to sustain their support as we move towards achieving our commitments and vision of family planning as an integral part of Nigerian social and economic development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely commend the Association of Advancement of Family Planning and all stakeholders for the huge resources committed to making this conference a great success. It is therefore my pleasure to declare the 7th National Planning Conference open and wish you all successful deliberation. Thank you and God bless.
Well, thank you again, Honorable Minister. Please may I invite commissioners from the Nigerian National Population Commission. We have 2 commissioners here with us, and they're going to launch the policies. Very important. Honorable Minister, our chair for the day, Your Royal Highness. It's a photo opportunity as we prepare for a census. And I want to invite also our religious leaders here with us. From Khan, Bishop Mike Akpami, representative of Khan. Please, can we join in this photo opportunity to highlight? We have also from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. We have also from representative of the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs, Colonel Ahmed Ali, ably represented by Deputy Comptroller General Habiba Abdul Malik from the Nigerian Customs. We thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for making this public. Joining the Honorable Minister from NPC, we have the Honorable Federal Commissioner, Bayelsa, Mrs. Izonfo Ebenai, and also Sir Richard Odibo, HFC, NPC. I'd like to bring Chinyere to the microphone now. All right. Thank you. We still have our UNFPA partner here with us. Thank you for all the support. It's been a wonderful day. The book? No. They already gave it out. They already gave it out. I don't know, it's still about. I don't know what is Margaret doing. I don't know. She's always listening to I thought Margaret was.
All right, we want to hear from our religious leaders. We want to call Haji Sani Umar, the BOT chair for...
I mandated the member of BOT, Professor Odinwa, to represent me and deliver the Board of Thanks on my behalf.
Okay, all right. For the CAN president, we call on Bishop Mike Abami to come and take his goodwill message. Please, let's be seated. We still have one or two things before we wrap up.
Thank you. I understand there will still be a plenary after lunch. Please don't go away. Plenary after lunch will still hold.
I bring you greetings from the Christian Association of Nigeria and express my delight for being invited to be part of this very important conference that seeks the advancement of family planning in Nigeria. CAN as an organization is always passionate about things that concern the family. This is because every one of us is a product of a family unit, and to a very large extent, the influence and lessons we receive from our families determine how we turn out in life. It is therefore my pleasure to be here and to make this few remarks. One of the Sustainable Development Goals calls on countries by 2030 to ensure universal access to sexuality and reproductive health care services, including family health, information and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. We are gathered to evaluate our strategies and programs towards universal access to family planning by the year 2030 and to chart a way forward towards attaining our goals. The Christian Association of Nigeria believes that there is a cohesion between family planning and family health. Family planning strengthens family health. The Christian Association of Nigeria believes family planning enables the mother regain her health after delivery. CAN believes that family planning helps the children get better training, attention, and education, which invariably cuts down on the rate of unemployment and poverty. CAN believes that family planning lightens the burden and responsibility of the father in supporting the family. CAN also believes that family planning is key to attaining several Sustainable Development Goals targets in connection to gender empowerment. In the light, and CAN also believes that family planning lowers the rate of maternal and infant mortality. And so in the light of the numerous advantages of family planning to the mother, to the child, to the father, community, and the nation, the Christian Association of Nigeria accepts and endorses family planning as a key strategy to support the family health of Nigerians. Therefore, CAN will be willing to collaborate with the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning to meet their family planning SDGs. Thank you very much. On behalf of the CAN President.
Thank you so much, Lord Bishop. All right, I want to call for the vote of thanks. The representative of the Chief of Air Staff, Group Captain B.I. Jayoba, Director of Public Health and Humanitarian Services, for the vote of thanks. A round of applause for him, sir.
The chairman of the occasion, all other protocols duly observed. Please, I'm here to give goodwill message. Don't worry, she's one of us. So maybe that's why she thinks I'm here to give a vote of thanks. In any case, I'm here, like I said, to give goodwill message on behalf of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Oladayo Amao, CFR. The Chief of Air Staff is happy that this particular program is taking place here. And not only that, the program has a lot of impact or a kind of reference to us, being members of the armed forces. As you know, our job is to fight war and to maintain peace as well, both nationally and internationally. And as a result, we have many of our colleagues, you know, of course, maybe including myself talking, that we are unavoidably absent virtually majority of the times with our families. We are usually not around, and therefore that places a lot of demand and pressure on our wives. And of course, that tells you how important we see women in the military. And for people who are here, they know that women issues in the military, we take it very seriously, because without them, there is no support for us when we go out there. You cannot be fighting at the same time you are thinking that your home is not secure. So as a result of that, the military have put up systems naturally, like I used to say. It's for you to make policies, it's for us to implement. And there's only one language we understand, that is the rule of law, even within the barracks. And what do I mean by this? We have several programs on ground that actually helps us to implement the maternal and health care policies. For example, for the NHIS, we only recognize 1 wife and 4 children, according to the national law. So, and of course, even when you are talking of 1 wife, 4 children, I can tell you that nowadays, you don't have many of our colleagues having up to 4 children. And it's simple. You are not around most of the time. And it doesn't make sense putting so much pressure at home on the woman that is going to. So, if there is no enough spacing, you can be sure that there are going to be issues. And that is how it's as much as important as that this particular program is to us. And once again, I want to congratulate the organizers of the program and all the sponsors. And particularly, I also want to congratulate those of us that we are also going to implement these policies. I can only say that things can continue to get better as far as Nigeria is concerned. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Group Captain B.I. Jayoba. And just to also give us the goodwill message from the Controller General of the Nigerian Customs, we'll call on the Deputy Controller General, H. Abdulmalik, to come and take her goodwill message. Habiba Abdulmalik. A round of applause for her, please.
Good morning, all. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol. Please let me correct this thing. The name is Deputy Controller of Customs, Habiba Abdulmalik, not Controller General. We hope to get there, not yet. On my CGC, Colonel Hamid Ali, retired, is unavoidably absent and sends you his goodwills. He gives you the assurance of the service of all necessary support to family services in family planning services in Nigeria. He hopes you have a fruitful deliberation and wishes you well. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for the Deputy Controller. Thank you, ma'am. We now call on Professor Brian Adima to come and give us the vote of thanks so that we can end this session and go for lunch. A round of applause for Professor Brian.
Thank you very much. Well, the hall is almost empty, but that notwithstanding, We have to go according to the program. I'm sure a lot of people are already tired, and I'm therefore going to make my vote of thanks as short as possible, especially having a foreknowledge of one thing I believe in, that speeches should be made in proportion to the size of the speaker. And since I'm not a particularly sizable person, my speech is going to be very short. Let me put you on a lighter mood because everybody is already tired and stressed up. There was a man who owned a dog. He loved this dog so much that anytime you engage him in a discussion, he will want to discuss his dog. Anytime he traveled, he will buy things for the dog before buying for any other person. His love for this dog is more than the love you can have for a woman or a man, for that matter. Then one day, the dog died. The dog was knocked down by a vehicle, and the dog died. And the man went into depression. He refused to eat. He refused to talk to anybody. He's a very rich man. Then he came back to himself and said, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to give this my dog a befitting funeral. And he was to start with a requiem mass. A requiem mass in the Catholic Church is mass for the dead. So he went to the Reverend Father and said, Father, I want to book for a requiem mass. And the Reverend Father said, very well, good. What is the name of the deceased? The man said, the name of the deceased was Bingo. The Reverend Father looked at him. I am not sure that human beings answer bingo. The gentleman said, well, this is some individual, some animal who is bigger than human being. I said, what exactly do you mean, the Reverend Father? I mean, I'm booking a requiem mass for my dog, a most beloved, most cherished dog that has died. And the Reverend Father said, you cannot give a requiem mass to a dog. A dog is not a human being. The dog does not have a soul, and therefore you cannot use what is meant for the human beings and give to dogs. So I cannot book this dog for a requiem mass. Then man said, well, very well. My only regret is that I have budgeted $500,000 for this requiem mass. The Reverend Father said, what did you say, sir? He said, I have budgeted $500,000 for this mass. The man said, well, in that case, when do we begin the mass? Well, my chairman of the AAFP, Sariki, has asked me to give this vote of thanks on his behalf. I thought he was going to give me a budget. And I asked for my budget. He said, well, your budget is that I will promise to bequeath a contraceptive prevalence rate of greater than 27% by 2030. That is my budget. So I now accepted, though I would have preferred $500,000. So ladies and gentlemen, let me start by thanking all of you that are still here. After thanking the Almighty God, who has made it possible for all of us to be here. By being here, you are exhibiting a great sense of responsibility, great sense of duty, and great sense of commitment to our cause, which is on women's health and women's lives. So thank you, all of you, for being here. Then, I will have to thank the chairman of the occasion who has left, His Royal Majesty, the Andoma of Doma, the man who towers head and shoulders above other Royal Majesties. And then, of course, the Honorable Minister of Health, Minister of State for Health, the man with the golden hair, who has also left. I also want to thank the Executive Chairman of the National Population Commission, who has also left. I want to thank also the representative of the Federal Capital Territory Minister of Federal Capital Territory, and the representative of the Ministry of Women Affairs. I cannot also fail to thank immensely the head of the Nigerian Air Force, who is ably represented here, and also the head of Nigerian Immigration or Customs. You see, the military people are very disciplined, and they always remain to the end. Congratulations, Nigerian military people. You are showing us example on how to do things. I think I have the same potential, because you could see there was a time in the whole of this front seat I was the only one remaining there. So I have the same discipline as the Nigerian soldier. Then let me thank most immensely the partners that have supported this program. For the past 3 days or so, a lot of activities have taken place for both young people and for older people, for women and girls. And these things have been supported by a lot of partners. I won't have to mention them one by one. Some of them had given their own goodwill messages. But it is an immense commitment that had been on since 2010 up to today. I'm very certain that what we aspire to achieve by 2030 is going to be perfectly actualized. Now, coming to the technical management team. The technical management committee is a committee of agencies that have come together to constitute the technical management team. And that team is chaired by Dr. Ejikoji. Please, can they stand to be recognized? These are the funders and the movers and shakers of this gathering. Please, members of the technical management team, can you stand so that we can clap for you? Can we give a round of applause to them? I'm sure a number of them have left. And this is different from the organizing committee, of which Dr. Oji is also the chairman of the organizing committee. Please, organizing committee, you've done wonderfully well. Stand up for us to recognize you. Yes. Very, very beautiful meeting that we've had. Thank you. You may be seated. You see, if you are not used to organizing conferences, you will not appreciate the efforts these people have put in to make this happen. And it's happening in a grand style with more than 300 registrants to this meeting. This is a tremendous achievement, and I congratulate you and wish you well. We wish ourselves well for being here. We wish ourselves well in the sense that God will enable us actualize our vision of going even beyond 27% contraceptive prevalence rate by 2030. And that, I pray, will happen in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now, Now, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, the youths. Thank you, representatives of other organizations. I may not have mentioned everybody, but you all deserve to be thanked. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Professor Adima, for thanking all of us. Please may we rise for the national anthem as we officially close this session, the opening ceremony. But the plenary will continue after lunch. We'll be back here. Thank you.